Clearly you clicked on this video because you're so tired of hearing everybody tell you, I can't hear you. Well, the next time she tells you that, just tell her, hold on, let me plug you in. Hey, player one to player two, it's Mike the Gaming Animator. And today I'd like to take a chance to be able to actually step into the uses of the Yamaha audio mixer that I did the unboxing not too long ago about. So I'd like to do a breakdown and see if I can help you understand how to use it and maybe teach you a little bit about it. So let's go ahead and dig into it. So what I have here is called an audio mixer. This particular brand is Yamaha. The model number is MG10XU, as you'll notate right here. Now, currently, as far as what is it that this product can do for you, well, an audio mixer is a great tool that you can use for plugging in multiple audio related devices. A good example to give you is, imagine if you were an individual who wanted to record vocals. Let's say you had multiple people. Well, as you can see through these plugs right here at the top, these allow you to be able to hook up 1, 2, 3, but 4 microphone line inputs. And actually, there are a few more, but there are different purposes for how you would want to use these tools. Alrighty, so the first thing I'd like to be able to show you is how to go ahead and start setting this up. So the mixer will come with an AC power adapter, and you'll plug it into the wall outlet on one side. On the other end, you'll notice it has an Xlr connection, and it slides into your mixer, and it has a pretty cool screw and tightening knob system, and you'll just tighten it up. If this is your first time using like audio gear to be able to record your content besides just hooking up your microphone to your laptop, let me help you out with a few things. Number one, most people would usually have something called an audio interface. Your mixer is substituting for something like that. So that's a big plus. You don't have to spend money in purchasing an actual audio interface. I feel like this is a really great shortcut for most people to actually buy to save money. Number one, because it has multiple inputs, but number two, you'll notice that there's a USB line connection on there. As I mentioned, if this is your first time using analog source audio recording, so normally the way I record is I plug my USB mic, USB Blue Yeti to my laptop, which is how I'm able to record my audio. Now that I actually have this mixer, when you plug your mixer into the with the USB connection to the computer, it'll actually pick it up as if it were a microphone. It usually have some kind of model number. I think mine says something like LG10, and it'll pick it up and you'll be able to start recording from it. So if this is your first time to figure out how would you be able to record your content, bear this in mind. I don't have an actual Xlr microphone yet. I'm still using a USB Blue Yeti microphone, and it's still connecting to an analog source, which is what the mixer is, and I'm getting this clean, crisp audio because of the mixer that's built in with it. So it's able to increase or decrease my vocals, and we'll go into that in more detail. Number one, I'd like to be able to mention to you as far as what these plugins are. So that is what they call an Xlr Input, and usually you find those type of plugs on, a microphone, a real microphone. I say real because the mic that I use to record my content, it's actually being connected via a USB cable. Well, a normal microphone that can be powered by this plugin that's here, or I should say this particular mixer has the ability to power a microphone that would be plugged in here. Another way to go around it though is like if you were to use a musical instrument, a line that we're probably familiar with is called a 1/4 inch cable, which is what I'm holding here. Now you're pretty much familiar with like these being like a guitar cable. As you can see, you'll easily be able to plug into this slot up here at the top. There you go. So this would easily be able to plug into any of these slots here, including some of these jacks that you see right here. And that's actually what this is called. It's a 1/4 inch cable, but this is a jack. So this plugs into this particular port here. I'm sure most of you are quite familiar with this plugin right here. You know, those are called your RCA cable connections. You're pretty much familiar with them being those red, white, and yellow cables that came with your, you know, most likely your Nintendo, Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo. But if not, I know for a fact all of you know have seen them on a Nintendo 64. Now you'll notice I have a pair that are already plugged into these. That's actually how I'm sending audio to the camera right now. And then I'm sending that same signal out into my actual camera that I have hooked up. And what's cool is it's going in from the jack in here, and the out is actually a 3.5 jack. So it's kind of cool how I was able to find these adapters to be able to plug in. And currently right here, this right here is my headphone jack that I'm actually sending. It's split between two audios right here. One of them I'm actually using for my headphones, and I think the other one I have connected. Oh, well, I don't even have this connected to anything. Let's just go ahead and unplug that. Anyways, my reason for wanting to talk about this is because, number one, this particular product is so powerful. I've never had an opportunity to experience this mixer before, or what a mixer does, or what this particular mixer has done for me. Number one, as you've been able to hear, I mean, my voice sounds amazing due to the fact of this working for it. And you can actually see that right here. I can control that on here. Like, for example, since currently this is coming out of the microphone jack, my audio back into my headphones, I believe I can actually mess with the sound of the, what do you call it, the camera. So I probably could mess it down and it'll be extremely quiet, and I can raise it back up so you can hear me. Same thing with my headphones. I can raise it down to where I can't hear myself, and then I can raise it back up so I can. So that's pretty cool. Just to be able to break some of this stuff down. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know every single thing about this, but I definitely want to be able to help people out to just be able to use an advanced tool for their setup. So what I wanted to go ahead and talk to you about are what are some of these knobs that are displayed here. That way it doesn't quite look as intimidating. So I would definitely suggest reading the manual so you'll have a better understanding of them. But first things first, you'll usually want to set the white colored knobs so that you can go ahead and perform. My understanding is technically this right here is called your gain, which is basically your volume controller. However, what's interesting about that is I'm assuming if I was using a normal microphone, my gain or volume would normally be a lot higher. I guess because I'm using a 1/4 inch jack, I'm not necessarily needing to crank that up all the way. And now if you go towards all the way to the bottom, that's called your peak monitor, I believe. And basically what that does, it's very useful. The first four is there's going to be a little red light, and it lets you know when you're talking just a little too loud, or the sound that you're producing is just a little too loud, or where you're peaking. Peaking is when your audio is extremely to the point where it's kind of like scraping. I would almost use that type of phrasing. But you'll notice my my peak levels, I have it right around mid, and then I just have it slightly increase my gain. So you kind of play with both of those to get an idea of where you want your audio levels to be. That yellow one that's right over here, that's a compression knob, and what that knob does is you're able to go ahead and adjust it to where, like, say if I'm whispering right now, I'm gonna go ahead and increase this, and you should be able to hear me quite clearly, as opposed to when I'm over here. So it just gives you an idea. But then if I start raising my voice, it should be able to adjust it to where it's not quite at the same level. You can kind of see that over here where I'm not hitting that yellow. But then if I turn it back up again, it should start going back to the yellow mark again. So it kind of balances out back and forth. But it's just a way to be able to handle having consistent voice levels in your audio. So that's just something to consider what that does. Personally, what I think is probably the most amazing part of this, you'll see the 3 green knobs over here. The stereo channels do not have that because it's a left and right channel, which is only two signals. These over here have three due to the fact that it's supposed to be a mono signal. So I'm able to adjust the highs, the mids, and the lows. I've already adjusted mine, so I really don't want to mess with them again. But put it this way: if you adjust the bass, or lows, you're going to adjust the bass in your voice. If you adjust the mids, it's kind of like where the middle tone of your voice, and then the highs is kind of like the endings of your and your P sounds, you know, your high notes. So that's a great way to tune it out if your voice isn't necessarily the best. I know I'm benefiting greatly from it, so I'm hoping that you guys can hear the difference using this mixer to be able to kind of customize my vocals a little bit. Technically, if you have like an audio editing audio software, you could do this in post-production, but I kind of like the feel of doing this kind of like an analog style where I'm doing everything manually, so I'm touching everything. Thus I feel like I'm learning because I'm getting hands-on with the product. Down here at the bottom, white set of rows right here, that's your effects level knob. So if I went ahead and decided to turn on the effects button, I'll press this right here. And then this is you know, determines how strong of a I almost wanted to say velocity, meaning how much of the effect is either high or low. I'm just gonna give you an example. I'm gonna raise the volume on here, and from here I'm going to go ahead and increase this. There's a big difference between these two. This is kind of like how loud the effects is on, but this is actually the volume of the effects. So as I turn this on, you should hear me being able to start changing my voice. But I'm going to go ahead and start increasing this a little bit more, and like I said, it's kind of like the volume to what you're hearing. So this is, like I said, a volume. This is the intensity of the sound, because I think if I take it off, I should go back to my regular voice. But then as I increase this, the intensity of the effect should be noticeable. But like I said, this is actually the volume for it. So if I decrease this, you shouldn't hear the effects of the voices. So now, just to be able to help out a couple of people as far as why would one actually invest into something about these vocal effects, one good thing I can definitely tell you from an animation standpoint of view is you can actually kind of give it the idea like you're inside a cave, or if you're walking in a specific environment. I'm going to give you an example here. So here now it has the sense like there's an echo, like I'm in some kind of room, and as you increase the it's called here the parameter or the strength of the effect, you'll notice that it should have more of an echo towards the back of my voice. You notice that? So I'm going to go ahead and remove this now, lower it, and it still has that weird vocal hearing, but now it's cutting off. See how it doesn't drag? So that's what this is for. Like I said, it's an intensity meter in a sense. But one thing I like to mention is, in order for you to use your effects, you do have to turn this knob, this button on. This is how loud this volume of the effects. This is the intensity of the effect, or I'm sorry, the actual volume for the channel of the effect. And then this right here is the strength or intensity of the effect. In order to choose the effect you want, though, you do have to turn the knob and then press it in. If you don't do that, the lights will blink and they'll reset. So that's a very important thing, something that I didn't know or wasn't aware of. Now, the final note that I want to mention here is at the bottom, these are called level. I'm sorry, not level. These are called your pan knob. So basically, if you rotate these to the left or right to the right, it pans your sound over to your left ear or your right ear. Normally I would think that's something that you would want to use for like sound effects recording, but for vocals, this isn't something that I personally want to use to be able to record my content. So one more thing, if you do have a microphone that uses an XLR connection, this right here, button right here, is the button that you would turn on to actually power the microphones, which would be called phantom power. So all in all, you got a pretty solid understanding of how the actual physical device works, which if I break it down again, I mean, this is your microphone inputs. You can use stereo inputs as well. So if you want to use left channel, right channel, this is a great option. These right here in the blue are your outputs, is how you listen. You put them towards your headphone or something. And like I said, the knobs, the white buttons, basically you can adjust about how loud things are going to sound. These are your master volume controls over here, and then as I mentioned, the green buttons are novel knobs are just basically the adjusters for your tempo of your voice, high, mids, and lows. And the yellow is just the intensity of how much of a compressor or how much of fidelity you want to keep the consistency on your voice, whether you're talking loud or getting quiet. All in all, when you break it down like that, I feel like it's much easier to look at and not quite as complicated. Thank you very much for sticking to the end of the program. This episode was not sponsored or endorsed by anybody. This was just something that was an experience that I'm going through where I've decided to upgrade my audio performance just a little bit, and I wanted to hear what it sounds like with having some sense of going a little bit into the analog industry. One thing I might do as a breakdown, if anybody requests, as far as how I'm actually doing my setup, I don't mind showing you the opportunities that I'm actually been doing with the Blue Yeti here. I mean, as you can see, it sounds amazing. I'm sure you can tell the difference from how I had it set up before, but please, guys, I mean, I really appreciate you coming by. If you have any more questions or concerns, please leave a comment or a message. Share this video, like it, subscribe to it. Stay tuned if you stick with me. Like I said, I'm always doing gift card giveaways. I'm so thankful for the fact that I was able to get a chance to experience this, and I'd like to be able to help other people also understand how to be able to use this type of product. When I first saw this looked extremely complicated and scary, but now that I've actually used it, I kind of feel I feel like I can open doors into a more in-depth field and get an opportunity to meet other people that are quite more experienced in this than I am. So with all that being said, thank you once again for coming for Animated Take. This is Mike the Gaming Animator, and I'll catch you again another time. I love you guys and stay blessed. Hey there, Player 1s and Player 2, it's Mike the Gaming Animator. Wanted to just make sure I reiterate one thing. Even though I wasn't sponsored or endorsed by anybody, I still wanted to give a shout out to everyone that actually helped me in making my investment in this mixer. The first store that I actually stopped by was called Sam Ashton's. Their store is located by 45 and West Road. I actually spent several hours in that particular store. The salesmen that were there were so helpful in educating me in the product that I ended up purchasing. I originally was going to purchase an audio interface, but ultimately I ended up making my investment with this mixer because he was aware of how I would want to use this with live streaming. So this was a great help that I got there. The next stop that I actually went to was located by 45 and 1960. It was actually called, I believe, the Texas Music. I believe it was called Texas Musical Instruments Emporium, I believe. I'll make sure I'll leave a link down below just to make sure I get the names corrected. But at the Texas Emporium Music Store, one of the biggest benefits that I got from shopping there, the folks there were a little bit older, but I felt that they were well more experienced in what they were talking about due to the fact that they were actually committed to making music, live performances. One thing that I felt was really interesting when I started shopping around was pricing was really negotiable depending where you go, specifically at this location. So if you're down to a budget friendly kind of situation, really consider what they have. I mean, I would look around first, but let them know and see how they'd be able to treat you and tend to you. They're really great because they're locally owned. So when you buy from them, you are supporting Houstonian local business owners. So that's a great thing. And then the final place that I went to was Guitar Center, which in that location, truth be told, they actually were the ones that had the lowest price on the mixer, but all of the locations would be more than willing to price match each other. So don't feel that nobody's going to be willing to help you. But I will say that up front that in the end, Guitar Center did offer the lowest price. I did give a call to Sam Ashton's location, and they were more than happy to be able to help me with my purchase as far as adjusting the price. And I may be mispronouncing it. I think it's just called Sam Ash. But as I mentioned, one thing I will say that I made my major investment at Guitar Center was the fact that at that location, which is by 45, and it's right before Ritchie Road, or I believe Rankin Road. It's in between FM 1960 and I think it's Ritchie Road or Rankin Road. That's right there where the Sam's Club is on 45 going southbound. If you pass 1960, I definitely made a heavy investment in the audio equipment I purchased, specifically the cables and accessories. they have a lot of options and variations of what you would want to buy. Great high end brands that can get pretty expensive, or you can just look at the variety of options. I try to stick with gold tip, and I experimented a lot with a whole lot of returns with my purchase, back and forth until I was finally content with the purchase that I have here today. But I did also purchase some adapters that Guitar Center did not have at the Sam Ash location. So just look at what your local look at your music locations. I mean, you'll never know what you can find if you don't take the time to drive. This would be one particular purchase I definitely would not advise just going straight through Amazon. I would say definitely go to a store, speak with some people, get some hands-on experience with what you're trying to buy. I really felt that that was the best way to be able to make my purchase. So just wanted to make sure that I give my shout out to these folks because I feel that they were great in helping me make my purchase. And I'll definitely be going back to these 3 locations and making my purchase. One key note, bear in mind, most of these guys work on commission. So, if you're really trying to spend a lot of time with these folks, try your best to be committed to them. Some of these folks really make a living in selling these products. And sometimes just $400 purchases like this can make a difference for somebody getting their day started, but can also ruin their day if you're just not willing to commit to them. So, you want to make sure you build a long-term relationship with these folks, and just try to be respectful with their craftsmanship as far as what they do at their job. And if you help them, they'll be more than willing to help you guys out. But once again, I just wanted to make sure I end off with that statement, just so that you guys can maybe consider what local music shops that you have in your area. But if you are in the Houston, Texas region, those are some of the major locations that I went to. So check them out, see what they can offer you. And once again, my name is Mike. I'm the Gaming Animator. Please subscribe, share, and comment any of our videos. It helps us grow. And please let us know what we can do for our next project. Thanks.